There. All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I am Molly Grant. As mentioned, I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Early Learning Coalitions. Our association is comprised of 30 early learning coalitions throughout the state, working in partnership with the Department of Education, with our providers, all to implement and administer our early learning programs in Florida at the local level. So I'm excited to be here today to talk to this amazing panel about the intersection of early learning policies, how they impact practitioners and the agencies that help to implement those, and then of course the experiences of parents as they're navigating that system. So we've heard today already about how critical early learning is, that it begins at birth, that it's really setting the foundation, as Madeleine just mentioned, and not just for kindergarten readiness or third grade reading, but what we're really doing is setting the foundation for the future success and viability of Future's entire workforce, or the future of Florida's workforce. And we also know that access and affordability of early learning opportunities for our families is critical to supporting today's workforce. As Kyle mentioned earlier today, the Florida Chamber's Untapped Potential Report highlighted that childcare access is the #1 reason why parents are leaving the workforce. And not only that, but it's costing our economy about $5.4 billion in lost revenues, in absenteeism from your employees, and then turnover in employees. So today on this panel, to talk about their perspectives in this space, I have with me Maria Ram, who is a parent and has personal experience navigating our system for her 3 children over time. I have Chancellor Carrie Miller with the Florida Department of Education, Division of Early Learning, Representative Dana Travolsi, serving in the Florida House of Representatives with District 84, and I have Marquita Davis, who is the Chief Academic Officer with KinderCare. So, Maria, I'm gonna kick it off with you, actually. I had a little bit of opportunity to speak with Maria prior to the panel, and I was wondering if you could share with the audience kind of your unique perspective in not only navigating the early childhood system and how that impacted each of your children over time and their access to support, their kindergarten readiness, but also how that impacted you and your family on your journey to economic self-sufficiency.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here with this amazing woman. And let me share you a little story. We have 3 amazing kids, ages 8, 5, 2, and almost 3, and they're my life, they're my motor. And back in 2015, me and my husband, we lost everything. We had to start from the scratch. We know how that is, but we're hard workers. And so then the first baby comes. They don't come with manual, probably you know. Nothing written, like how to take care, instructions of. But the first thing we could not afford is to stop working, right? So quickly I was in that moment and trying to find a daycare somewhere. He's a baby. I don't want a regular daycare because I'm a new mom. He needs love. That was my perspective. That's where I was. That's why I'm bringing this story. We found a paid abuela, and she was one providing care while we were working as many hours as we could to afford the care. So that was taking a toll. We were like stagnant. You know, you're making money, but you're not getting anywhere because you're just covering your basic expenses. I remember my employer suggested me like, you should go to this place. They're for low-income families, and they probably can support you with daycare. First, I felt offended, you know, to be called low income. So I had that pushed a brake me into just like trying this place for my kids. Eventually I was like, we need it, you know, we need to make adjustments. And I ended up in this amazing place called Children First, a nonprofit that provides services of early learning education, Head Start and early Head Start. It changed our life. It was not a daycare, it was a place for development, not only of my kids, but my family. It was there at a very early age that we were able to detect that my son had a speech delay. For me, it was indetectable. People would tell me like, well, he's bilingual. No, it was thanks for these screenings that they constantly do to the kids that we were able to address with them the issue. He received an IEP since he was 3 years old, which has been with him for the rest of his school career right now, and I cannot tell you how much that has helped him to thrive in his early life. But mostly we were able to produce. I knew my kid was taken care of. He was provided with meals. He was provided with amazing education, mental support. They were providing also for parents like classes like budgeting, career readiness. And I took everything I could for the $25 card too. But what I mean is that change, it brought us back confidence. It prepared us as a family. And we started building back, and fortifying that baby two comes, I know where I want my baby at that moment. I don't want with a paid abuela, I want my baby to have access to that because I see how much it has given to my first kid. Thankful, we were not very into points at that point because we were doing better, so I was at the end of the list at that point. But we made it through because it was 2020 and they had a lot of openings. That helped me. My daughter goes into it, and I have nothing to say, but at the age of 3, she was ready for kindergarten, even before her VPK. Her development, she's a sassy little girl, and I think it's because I started too early. But again, my family is thriving to the point that even though I was laid off from my job back in 2020, we were able to start a business. We were there. I knew, again, my kids are safe, my kids are growing, and we are, again, thriving and building wealth for my family, being like at a point that we can cover and give us like even vacations. Baby 3 comes. We're doing so good as small business owners. But now the access for me is more difficult. I have to go on a list. My baby's 3 and I still haven't made it. And I know how important it is for him, but other things come from that. First, I wanted to enroll him in a private one, but that means I would have to search a job to cover that additional expense. And it's just complicated. Am I willing to work? I would love to work. I also love to be a mom and to stay at home with my baby. But as a small business owner, we are also at the mercy of any unexpected event. That means if my husband decides to break something like he recently did 2 weeks ago, playing pickleball, I know. I know that would take a toll. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to resend that. And I'm in a position that, of course, I can take care of him, but I cannot take care of my family. And just a little extra additional money would always help. So I was very quick. I'm happy I made it. 3 kids, 8 years. And I was able to deliver a story. What I strongly believe that, 1, every kid should have access to this opportunity. It facilitates their development at a level that you have no idea. I was able to see it and compare my daughter with other kids that just had started BPK with no additional support, but also as family. I cannot express how much that was the point where I was resourced, when I met incredible people and organizations like the Children's Movement of Florida. That was a place where I was developed as a leader, as a parent leader, just a parent that has a voice and is willing to use it to spread awareness at any level. And it helped me also to be aware of the efforts of our government, our local authorities, our nonprofit. There's a whole world there trying to help us, but sometimes parents, we don't know. And this was my starting point. And I'm so thankful to be here.
Thank you.
Back to you.
No, thank you so much for sharing your story. Honestly, working in this space, it's not an uncommon story that we hear about parents and their experience with navigating the early childhood system and trying to access supports for their children to make sure they have the greatest start possible, right? But thankfully, we do have wonderful partners at the state level who are working to kind of change that narrative for families like yourself. So I'm going to jump over to Chancellor Miller. So Chancellor Miller, can you tell us a little bit first about the department, what you do in the space of early learning, and what the primary goals are of the department regarding early learning?
Yeah. So good afternoon. It's really good to be here with you all today. I would suggest it's great to see your smiling faces, but I can't physically see you. So I am the Chancellor of Early Learning. I work for the Division of Early Learning for the Department of Education. Our main area of focus and responsibility is lead and implement effectively our school readiness and our VPK program. So our school readiness is a subsidized child care program, helps families enter the workforce or attend training to enter the workforce while we tend and care for their child. And so that's one program in which we are responsible for, again, our school readiness program. And then we have our voluntary pre-K education program, which is a free program for all 4-year-olds in the state of Florida to participate in an educational program to better prepare kids to enter kindergarten ready for school. So those are the main programs in which the Division of Learning focuses on for implementation. We do not do this alone. We do this with 30 fabulous early learning coalitions across the state, as well as our Red Lake Christian Migrant Association, which I believe we have a number of you out in the audience, so a little shout out right now would be awesome. Yes. So we do this work, again, in partnership with early learning coalitions that are on the ground running, truly doing the hard work every single day to provide care and education for the children across the state of Florida. So super excited about that. Our main goal is to ensure, we have a number of goals, but our main goal is to ensure kids enter kindergarten ready for school. Okay, there are just a number, I'm going to share here a little bit, just a number of facts as it relates to kindergarten readiness. And the very first stat you see here alone, if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. And that for children who enter kindergarten behind, roughly 75% will never catch up with their classmates. That is a very powerful stat and a very powerful statement. Good news is, right, that states with local pre-kindergarten programs, their kiddos that enter those programs are more likely to be successful and enter kindergarten ready for school. They're also, those that participate in pre-kindergarten are more likely to exit 3rd grade with the grade level reading skills they need to be successful in 4th grade and beyond, which I know is also a massive milestone that we all focus on in the education field. And also, if they participate in early learning pre-K programs, they're more likely to graduate high school. So if high school graduation matters, if leaving 3rd grade with the grade level reading skills necessary to be successful in 4th grade and beyond matters, kindergarten readiness must matter. So any opportunity I have to have a platform to share that and help you all advocate for this space is critically important to ensure that, again, our kiddos do have access to quality programs, which I'm going to touch a little bit on, I think, here now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Actually, my next kind of question was in thinking about Maria's story and what is some of the work that the department is doing to kind of help parents navigate the system, understand what their educational opportunities are, understanding quality, all of those great things.
Right, okay. So what I'm going to do first is talk about a few programs that help support quality programs, like our mission, right? If we want to ensure kids are entering kindergarten ready for school, we must ensure our child care programs and our early learning programs are of quality, okay? So there are a number of programs that may be confusing to a number of folks, including myself when I first entered the early learning space, but we have a couple ways in which we measure quality in our space. And so let's look at that here. So we have these two particular programs, so the Gold Seal Quality Care Program. This program is really designed to give recognition to child care providers that go above and beyond the minimum licensing standards. Okay, what that means is they're looking at the structural quality of the program, so the program as a whole. So, for example, there are certain teacher-child ratio standards if you're providing child care. Well, particular child care providers that earn a Gold Seal accreditation are those that are going above and beyond that teacher-child ratio expectation, where they have a smaller teacher-child ratio. They also go above and beyond for qualifications for the teachers that are providing care and education for the children that are sitting in front of them. They also have smaller class sizes. They may pay their teachers more, right? So ensuring we're honoring the professionals that provide the day-to-day support and care for their children. And so So Gold Seal is really looking at the program as a whole and those child care programs that are going above and beyond the minimum standard expectation, and they are accredited, so they get the Gold Seal. There are a number of incentives for folks to participate in the Gold Seal program. One being they get a 20% differential higher reimbursement rate, if you will, if they participate and earn the Gold Seal accreditation. We also have CLASS, which is a program assessment, which really more so focuses on the classroom level, right? Teacher-child experiences at the classroom level and the quality of those experiences, right? The more quality of those experiences with a teacher and a child, the more likely that child is going to be prepared for kindergarten, right? So this is more at the classroom level. So 2 ways of looking at quality. You want both, right? We want to see child care providers going above and beyond the minimum standards, providing quality care for our youngest learners at a program level, but we also want to ensure quality teacher-child interactions are happening in the classroom as well. And so really these are 2 ways of measuring quality, both critically important and both very different ways of doing just that. With that said, to answer Molly's question is we have across the state of Florida, again, through our lovely early learning coalitions across the state, we have CCR&R specialists, which is basically child care resource and referral specialists, and they stand ready to help any family, any parent navigate the system to make informed choices. Our hope is that we have all quality programs, so they have access to all those quality programs. Are we there yet? Absolutely not, but that is our hope. That is our job, right, in partnership with the LCs to improve the quality of our programs. But we have our CCR&R specialists, again, standing ready across the state through our ELCs to support parents in navigating the system. And then soon, coming to you all and all families across the state is what we don't have a name for yet, but I'm going to refer to it as the online portal. And what this serves as is I look at it like a realtor.com, but for education for our youngest and actually students, birth through grade 12, okay? So it's basically a system that provides information about all the child care providers in the state of Florida, as well as K-12 schools in the state of Florida, and families can go in, filter what they're looking for, and I say, poof, all the ones in which they're looking for in their area that they have options to pick from. And so this is underway. It was passed in House Bill 1, past legislative session, and so we should see an online portal birthed here soon that really does provide support to families on making informed decisions for the best care, best education that they are looking for that meets their specific family needs. It'll have Gold Seal information, it'll have class information as well. So we're just super excited about this coming. There's a lot of buildup around it. We've been developing over the course of the past year, and so we're super excited for release of the online portal to support families to navigating the system.
Thank you so much. And, you know, although I have the pleasure of getting to work with you at the state level in partnership as a parent, and I think I speak for Maria as well, just very encouraging to see the focus that the state is putting on, making sure that parents, regardless of what program you're eligible for, but every parent has the information and resources they need to make informed decisions about the available educational opportunities that there are for their children. So just thank you so much for that. So jumping over to Representative Trabolsi. She is one of the champions for early learning in this state, by the way, just so everybody knows. And the past few sessions, we have seen so much momentum in the field of early learning. And I think just in the past 2 years, we've probably seen more bills related to early learning than we've seen in the last decade combined. So, and thanks to the leadership of Representative Trabolsi and the entire leadership of the Florida legislature. But what I was hoping you could do is tell us a little bit about some of the most recent policy changes that have happened at the state level in the legislature and what potential impacts we might see from those that benefit families, particularly as it relates to access and affordability for early learning.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me here today. Maria, I was listening to your story and it kind of took me back 35 years ago when my kids were small, and times were a lot different, but we had the same issues, right? And I remember my husband and I on I-95, I worked nights, he worked days, and the only way that we could take care of our children was to pass them off at a rest area so that we could do that. So I understand your struggles, and it's really tough. And now I have 4 kids that have children, and they're navigating just like you are. So I'm glad that you shared your story, because when we can put a name and a face with people that we're actually impacting, it really does. It makes it all worth it, and it makes a big difference. And I'm thinking about earlier today when Kyle was talking about untapped potential, and is it the chicken or the egg, right? Is it childcare or is it workforce? Well, it's both, and they go so hand in hand. And we were able this past session to just really make some historical investments in early learning, but it's not because we just started this session. It's because of all the people that came before us and really paved the way. And timing was absolutely everything. Before I came into the legislature, and for a brief amount of time, I was able to work with Vance Lupus and Aaron Grawl, and now we have Michelle Watson and Aaron Smeltzer and Molly, you too. Like it's truly a team effort on how we can just build the best foundation for all these children and families, so that they can be the best people and the best family unit possible. This year, we were able to, just kind of going down the list a little bit, we were able to raise the base student allocation for VPK by 3%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are clawing your way as an early childhood care provider, 3% is a lot, and it makes a big difference. And these folks know how to make lemonade out of lemons for sure. We also put a $200 million investment into the reimbursement rates for providers, which is absolutely amazing, because it is going to allow us and allow parents to have more access. And we certainly wanted to, along with the reimbursement rates, expand eligibility as well this year. We weren't able to get that over the finish line, but that just means our work's not done yet. So I'm okay with that. I was happy with what we got. We created a summer bridge program this year, and what that will do is for VPK students who are in the lowest 10 percentile, they will be referred to their local school district over the summer, and they will receive 4 hours a day, a minimum of 100 hours of instructional time to get them ready during that, somebody mentioned it today, during that summer slide. So when they go into kindergarten, they can be as ready as possible. We also did School Readiness Plus this year, which 2 years ago I was able to work with Robin Bartleman, a representative out of Broward County, and she worked on Florida Kid Care, which is, I'm going to relate School Readiness Plus to this, because it creates a glide path for parents. With the Florida Kid Care, it allowed parents who were able to gain a raise or increase their employment opportunities. It enabled them to have a smaller buy-in into their children's health care, instead of just kicking them right off the subsidy. So that $1 raise didn't end up costing them $3,000 at the end of the year. So we did the same thing with School Readiness Plus, and now as parents are able to take on and earn more and have more potential, we're going to glide them off in a step path just the same way, so that it's not such a big hit and they are not disincentivized to take a raise. And then lastly, we had the child care tax credit, which Representative, yes, I'm giving a clap for Representative McFarland. She's not here, but God bless her, she has worked on this since she came into the Florida House. It's been a passion of hers, and it's so amazing to know that we're putting in, this is where the chicken and the egg come together, right? It is childcare, it is workforce, so how better can we put those two things together and offer a tax credit to businesses to invest in their employees and their employees' children. And it's not just the employees and the parents, it's also the grandparents that can take advantage of this, which makes it a little bit sweeter for me to know that up to $300 a month or $3,600 a year, these employers can invest, whether it be on-site childcare or off-site childcare, they can invest in a child's future, they can invest in their workforce, they can create loyalty, and they can really just create our future, right? They're really investing in our future in the most organic way, and I'm excited that we were able to accomplish that.
That is so exciting, and I thank you so much for the comprehensive approach that you're taking to looking at policy improvements in this space. You're right, it's not one or the other, it's an and,
It is an
right?
and.
And so just thank you for your commitment to the emphasis that you and the legislature as a whole has put on early learning, and we look forward to continuing what that looks like in the future. So Marquita, I'm going to come over to you. And so I know, I've reached that end of the stage. So Marquita, we've heard from Maria about her unique perspective as a parent. We've heard from Representative Travolsi about the exciting new opportunity that businesses have to take a more active role in supporting their employees and their access to early care education so they can be the best employee that they can be. And we've heard about all of the amazing things that Chancellor is doing with the Department of Education to kind of smooth out all of the edges for families in accessing information and resources. But from a provider perspective, I have like a tiered question for you, so stick with me for a minute, okay? So first,
No pressure.
as a provider, what excites you most about the future of early learning in Florida? And then specifically for programs like the child care tax credit, which we just saw passed, and then other early care and education policies that might have been passed, how do programs like these help employers meet the needs of the child care, of their child care needs of their workers? And then for those that have heard about now the child care tax credit program, what can employers who are out in this audience and who are thinking about how can I take advantage of that, what can they do now to start preparing for when this is implemented?
So first of all, I'm going to say I'm over 50, so I can't remember all those questions.
No worries.
But I do want to start off by saying KinderCare is the largest provider of early learning services in the country. And we have the great privilege of working in Florida on behalf of families. And so I think that these ladies have said it all so well. I will not repeat all of the things that they said, but I want to bring it into kind of like this to synthesize.
Yeah.
What I know as a provider that is important to the work that we do is that the notion of fragmentation can be resolved when all of the elements are working together. And so what Florida has done right and what Florida has done well, they have been in the forefront of the universal pre-K movement, establishing the framework. We participate in that. You can't do any of this work without legislation. And the fact
pressure.
Seriously, the fact that you have worked so hard to bring a comprehensive package together that talks about two-generation investment in building the workforce. Not only as providers, we provide quality services for young children, but for Maria and her family and how that comes together. None of this can be done without the work of the collective. And then the vision of having a comprehensive approach pushes up against this notion of fragmentation. So I think that we are really lucky as KinderCare to be in a state like Florida, serving almost 12,000 children, with legislators like you, with commissioners that believe in UPK. We do want it to be full day, so if you can work on that. Really great for families, for parents. And Maria, your experience of what happens when that all comes together and works well. The last thing that I want to say is that for employers, this tax credit is a big deal. Being able to have, in some instances, on-site childcare being provided helps to take down the barriers that parents have when they start new jobs. And so we are just thankful that we can participate in all of these elements and thankful for all of the work that you all have done. Thank you, Chamber, for allowing us just to be here as providers to have that perspective. And I unfortunately have to do like we do in the Black Baptist Church. I'm going to put one finger up and tip off the stage because I have a flight to catch.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marquita. Safe travels to you on your way home. So we're almost done. Just to kind of round out the rest of our conversation is, we've talked about the forward momentum we've had. Representative Trabulsi, can you tell us a little bit about what we might see coming next down the line in terms of potential legislative priorities related to not necessarily just early learning, but wholeheartedly just trying to increase, the success and the educational opportunities of all the children in Florida?
Absolutely. So if I could expand VPK to all day, I would, because if we don't pay now, we're going to pay later. Right. And I have a grandson who just went to VPK. By the way, I have 7 grandkids, so I will just talk about them all day. But I have one who was in VPK, and he comes home and he's got so much energy, and we're like, he needs to be there all day. He's really enjoying it. He's learning so much. So I would love to do that, but I think that might be a little bit out of my power. But a couple of things that I would like to work on this next session. One is chronic absenteeism. Let me just back up. Over the past 4 years, we have passed so much wonderful legislation, and not only bringing home appropriations and making sure that we're providing the dollars behind what we need to do, but also really impactful. For example, making sure that we're going back to the science of reading. But you saw the statistics today. 50% of our kids can't read in 3rd grade. That's after we've been putting in decades of work into reading. Well, since COVID, we have a whole group of kids who are not coming back to school. And we need to address that, because with reading and with math, those are such foundational skills. If they are not coming to school, they are not able to build on what they learned the day before or the week before. So being able to go in and identify, first of all, the why. Why are these kids not coming to school? Why are they absent? And the answer is everything. It could be, they missed the bus. It could be they're taking care of a younger sibling. It could be, I talked to some kids that were in my district, and some of them don't want to walk to school. They don't have transportation, but they don't want to walk to school because they have to walk through a gang area, and they're scared. So the answer is everything. So we need to find out what those reasons are, and then we need to address them. And we need to get these kids back in school. So that's one. Another one would be over-testing. So we talked about progress monitoring earlier today and the 3 different tests that kids take at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. But what's happening in our school districts, and I have a great respect for them, and they're doing a wonderful job teaching our kids, but when the state comes in and puts new testing requirements on them, they don't necessarily get rid of the old tests that are there. So teachers are very, very frustrated because they're spending so much time testing kids. I think we need to shed some of the testing that we do, and they can already do that, but I think we're going to have to nudge them a little bit on a legislative side to have them do that. And I think those would probably be my two top priorities.
All right, thank you. And don't forget about eligibility and preserving access. Right.
And eligibility and
my shameless plug. All right, well, thank you all so much. This was incredible. Thank you for your time and sharing your perspectives in this very important space. We've heard repeatedly how critical this time is for setting the foundation. For those of you that are interested and wanting to get involved in this conversation, want more information about the Child Care Tax Credit Program, please stay in touch with the Florida Chamber Foundation. They will be sharing additional information for employers on how they can tap into that support for their businesses as well as their employees. And then lastly, the Florida Chamber Foundation will be hosting a Early Learning and Literacy Employer Roundtable Summit in Southwest Florida on August 1st. So if you are excited about getting involved in this conversation, sharing your perspectives on how you're helping support your employers, please use that barcode on the screen and sign up for that roundtable. So thank you all for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.